Just 4. All right, so for day 2 of solving radical equations, we're essentially going to do the same stuff. So if you're looking on your blue sheets, we had those 3 steps. We isolate the radical, we're going to square both sides, and then we solve for x by isolating it again. Okay, sometimes, however, that third step where we isolate the x isn't as simple as just like solve for x. Sometimes equations have what we call extraneous, it's a big word, extraneous solutions. Extraneous solutions are solutions that appear to be answers in the original equation, but when we go back and check them into our original equation, they do not satisfy the original equation. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. Therefore, that means for this lesson and for this whole section now, when we get 2 different answers, we need to make sure that we check them, okay? Because there might be some like false answers in there. So, let's take a look at A. We're going to follow, oh gosh, those are my geometry notes. Yep, geometry. Yep. Pause. Okay, so when I take a look at letter A, my first step, I'm going to go by the same first, second, third step that we usually do. The first step is to isolate that radical. Is the radical isolated in this problem? Yes, it's by itself. There's nothing else other than the stuff that's underneath the radical on that right side of the equation. So first step is done. What's the second step? How do we get it out of there? We're going to square both sides. Okay, so n squared is just n to the second power. And then when I square a radical, the radical goes away. So I'm going to rewrite this as n squared equals n plus 12. Okay, so that's our second step. That's where we square both sides. Our third step is to now isolate the n. However, I've got an n squared and an n. So things get tricky here. I warned you yesterday that third step, that's isolate the variable. Sometimes we end up with a quadratic. What does that mean? What is quadratic? The degree is, read? No. Oh, anybody? 2. The degree is 2 because of this 2 right here. That means, do we remember how we solve quadratics? No. It's factoring. Yay, factoring. Okay, so how do I factor this equation? The first thing I need to do when I start to factor is move everything onto one side. I'm going to tell this to you right now. You want the one with the squared on it, the variable with the squared, the highest power, to be positive. You see how it's already positive right here? That means I don't want to move this n squared anywhere, because if I move it, it becomes negative. I'm going to move everything else to be on the same side as it. So I'm going to subtract n from both sides and subtract 12 from both sides. That leaves me with n squared minus n minus 12 equals 0. They should be written from largest power to smallest power. So n squared, n to the first, and then no n to the 0th. Do we remember how to factor? Anybody want to start me off? Number 1, I should check for a GCF. Is there a GCF in this problem? No GCF. So then I'm going to break it into 2 bubbles. The factors of n squared are n and n. And then the factors of 12, we have a few of them, right? We're looking for factors of 12, 1 and 12. Oh my gosh, this pen. 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Those are my factors of 12. How am I going to get to a negative 1? Remember, we're adding or subtracting. Jaden? Perfect. We remember all this? Yes, hopefully? Okay, that's what we did in Unit 7. That was baby food. Then we went into Unit 8 and we actually solved these quadratics. Do you remember how we solve? How do I get n equals something? Autumn? Yes. To get our actual solutions, is everybody listening? To get your actual solutions, we're going to take each one of these bubbles and set them equal to 0. So n minus 4 equals 0, and then n plus 3 equals 0, and then we solve them for n. So on this guy, we're going to add 4 to get n equals 4. And then on this one, we're going to subtract 3 to get n equals negative 3. Okay. We're done here. However, remember what I said at the beginning of this notes sheet. We are going to sometimes have extraneous solutions. So anytime I'm getting 2 answers in a problem, I need to check them in the original. Like, you have to check them. So I'm going to go to my original equation. I'm going to get rid of some of these markings so we can see what it looked like. That's n equals the square root of n plus 12. What do I know in these problems gets me no solution? Like, when I was solving these yesterday, I was looking for if something happened, I could write no solution. What was that? Layla? If this equals a negative number. If I ever have a radical, a square root, equals a negative number, I have no solution. So when I take my 2 answers here, 4 and negative 3, if I plug them into right here, and this square root equals a negative number, I cannot use that answer. So let me show you what this looks like. This is like, I'm going to check this over here. I'm going to start with the 4. 4 equals the square root of 4 plus 12. Does that get me a square root equals a negative number at all? No, it does not. So that one is good. But when I plug in the negative 3 equals the square root of negative 3 plus 12. Do I get a square root equals a negative number? Yes, I cannot have that square root equals that negative 3, so I know that that one does not work. So you're not going to write no solution as your answer. You're just only going to write n equals 4 as your answer. Okay, it breaks us down from 2 answers to just 1 answer. Any questions on that? I know that's it's a lot of steps. We're good on that? Okay, let's do another one. Letter B, first step, is it already isolated? Yes. So second step, we're going to square both sides. That becomes negative 4t plus 3 on the left side. And then here's what I really need us to pay attention to. What is 2t squared? 4t squared. I'm squaring the 2 and I'm squaring the t. So that's 4t squared. Perfect. Then we need to put it all on the same side. I do not want this t squared to become negative. So you see how it's already positive where it is? I'm not moving it. I'm going to move everything else to the other side. So I'm going to add 4t, subtract 3. That gets me 0 equals 4t squared plus 4t minus 3. Everybody still with me? Zoom in. Now we got to factor. My first step in factoring is check for a GCF. Do I have a GCF? No GCF here. I can't take anything out of 4 and 3. So I'm going to move on to bubbles. Okay, somebody want to help me factor? I've got 2 options that could go in the first part of my bubble. What are those 2 options that could work? I know it's been a long time since we factored. What are the factors of 4t squared? Cody? 4t times 1t, or just 4t times t, or the second option is? Good. Then I look at the last term, which is a negative 3. What are my options for 3? Well, it should just be 1 and 3, right? All right. I'm going to start with the one that has the least amount of options, so that 1 and 3, I know they're going to go in here. Now I need to decide, am I going to use the 4t and t, or am I going to use the 2t and 2t? Cody. Let's try it out. Remember, our method was called guess and check. So I'm going to guess and I'm going to check. We have a little bridge and a big bridge. I get 2t and 6t. How can I make that add up to 4? Minus the 2, add the 6. So that means I'm going to do positive here, negative here. Are we good on that factoring step? I know it's been a really long time. I know you're giving me dirty looks because I'm making you factor again. So now that that's done, though, then what's our next step? I need to what? You set them equal to, we're going to set each piece equal to 0. So 2t minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to solve this one, plus 1. 2t equals 1. And then divide both sides by 2. T equals, I'm just going to leave this as 1/2. Okay, leave it there for now. Same thing on the other side. 2t plus 3 equals 0. I'm going to solve for t. And I get negative 3/2. Am I done? What do I still have to do? I have to what? I got to check. I got to make sure that I'm not going to get anything that's going to be negative. So let's go back to my original equation here. I'm looking to see if this radical, if I plug in this radical, is it going to equal a negative number? So the radical equals, let's do 2 times 1/2. Is that going to be a negative number? No, so that one's good. Same thing over here. I'm going to do, does the radical equal a negative when I plug in negative 3/2? Yeah, that's going to get me a negative 3, which I know is good. So I know, or is bad. So I'm going to cross that one off. That means I can't use that as my answer. My only answer that works is the t equals 1/2. Any questions there? Okay. Next. Looks a little bit easier. It is a little bit easier, but I feel like we struggled with this when we did it with factoring, regular factoring. So let's definitely make sure that we know what we're doing. First step, isolate. We can see it's already isolated. Second step, square both sides. M squared equals 8m. I know that m squared is positive where it is right now, so I'm going to move the 8m to the correct side. That's m squared minus 8m equals 0. How the heck do we factor this? How do we factor this? What should we look for first? What's our GCF? Do we have a GCF in this problem? M is our GCF. So I'm going to take out an M out of both of these terms. When I take out an M, I should be left with M minus 8. That is my factored form. I have no quadratic left to factor. So I'm done factoring here. Now we go to our final, well, second to last step, where I'm going to set each piece equal to 0. This first piece, m equals 0. Hey, look, already solved for me. And then this second piece, m minus 8 equals 0. I'm going to solve for m really quickly to get m equals 8. What do I have to do for my last step? I got to check it. So I'm going to go back to my original, which is m equals the square root of 8m. So if I plug in 0, is that okay? Sounds good to me. If I plug in 8, is that okay? Also good. So both of these answers end up working for me. That just means you have two answers. You put m equals 0, m equals 8. You're done. Okay? One more. I promise we're done. Okay. Is it isolated? Yes. Let's square it. This is 6h equals, what's on the other side here? 9h squared, exactly. We see where that 9h is already positive. I don't want to move it. I'm going to move the 6h instead. How do we factor this? Jaden.
3 is the
3, just a 3? 3H. Good. 3H is our GCF. Then what am I left with on the inside of this bubble? 3H minus 2. 3H minus 2. Good. Any questions on the factoring? I know the factoring is going to be the hardest part of this lesson. We're good on that part? Okay, let's finish strong. We know we're going to take each piece, set it equal to 0, 3H equals 0. We divide by 3, so H equals 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. 3H minus 2 equals 0. Oops, I should do this, shouldn't I? Divide by 3. This is H equals 2/3. I got to finish this off. Oops. By doing, oh gosh, that's a mess. What the heck is going on? What the heck? Okay, there it goes. So I'm going to do, does my radical equal a negative number when I plug in 3 times 0? No, I'm good to go there. Does my radical equal a negative number when I plug in 3 times 2/3? No, I'm good to go there as well. So both of these are correct. That's it. Any questions?